This raven responded, I recall in dread. He pecked out my ear and knifed into my head. Doubts, leave my mind. Return as before, quoth the raven. Nevermore.
So, welcome to the official companion podcast for the Buffalo Multiverse book. I am your host, Cory McCants.
And I am Travis Carlson, the creator of the book and series.
So, each episode, we're going to get into some NFL game day stuff. We're going to talk about what inspired the creation of the chapters of the book. And we'll end with a very important question that I'll have for Travis each episode. And it might be something a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. So what we just heard is a clip from the Ravens chapter, which was a different take.
Yeah, absolutely. Like total like left field pivot from what we've been doing. We've been sort of like in the comic book narrative. And just to remind people like kind of what that was about, if it's been a minute since you listened to it. The Ravens episode is based on the poem The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. And we find Josh waking up in this like lyrical poem, like everything rhymes, and he wakes up in this like a tomb, like a dark tomb, and a raven appears. It seems like this raven might be enchanted, and Josh has a very important question for that raven about Josh's own future, almost like asking a prophet, like what's going to happen. Doesn't get the answer he wants, and things get a little darker before they get better. But yeah, Josh does get out.
In real life, that actual game, the Ravens game, it was 23-20, if I remember correctly. So it was a close game. It kind of became a close game. What do you remember about that actual game?
We looked like we were just playing bad, and I remember the sentiment in the community at the time was like, do we suck? Like, are we that old team again that like can't hold anything together, can't complete our passes?
That fear sinking in of like,
comes so fast.
Yeah.
We're so.
But honestly, it's trauma, and that's what it is. It's a trauma response from things that have happened in the past. So it's hard to blame fans, but also it's like, give us a chance, give us a second, you know.
I feel like it must be so frustrating to be a player. I don't think they're feeling any of the fan sentiment at home, where we're like, oh my God, are we sucking?
Yeah.
But the pressure, it's like a knife edge in our city. Where now, today, we have the privilege of watching the Bills, where we're probably like, they'll still probably find a way to find 14 points in the fourth quarter. The most recent Ravens game was like the 4-minute comeback beginning of this season. Huge difference. But so you got to kind of put your old hat on, and that's kind of what this was looking at, was like that fragile transition that we're like, we made a big step forward, but like, was it going to hold? Was it a successful pass, or was it just a temporary, what do they call that? The power of averages, where it's like, you might have done good, but it'll come back to the median.
I agree. And I think that one of the things I love about this book, especially, I've had it for maybe a couple years now. And so I liked that you were coming out with the podcast for it, kind of to like, remind people what's going on here, because as time passes, it's not that it gets like, oh, well, that was a few years ago. It gets better, because the more we do, the more you can look back at when we really made that turning point. This is a reminder. So it gets better as time goes, because it's like, this is like etched in stone now. You have this, cinematic version of what it was. And we've talked about it before. You wrote this during the season, so there was no foresight of like what's to come. You were writing it as a fan in that time. So this is what was really happening during that game.
Yeah. I mean, there's a chance we would have continued and been like 3-15 or something, and I would have just been like, well, that was a tough season. Luckily, it was like one of our most historic, I think it was the most historic Josh Allen era season ever, with the Hamlin injury and how good we played. I mean, the biggest point differential. And I felt like this core team was really strong. Like our veterans were kind of in their prime, and then we hadn't quite changed that transition to the Ken Dorsey and the Joe Brady's yet. I actually have another clip from the Ravens episode if you want to hear a little bit.
Of course I want to hear it, man. I can't get enough of it. I don't know if you know this, but I only listen with headphones. It makes you feel like you're living in a movie. So I could watch it a million times, but like that sound is just, so good.
To blackness I asked its purpose be clear. Buffalo believes me a savior. She heeds me, sincere. To right ancient wrongs, to crown regent a king, is my might also song that this year she may sing? Anchored for answer, breath held until sore, quoth the raven.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying, though? I mean, I know you see what I'm saying, but like, man, if you're listening to that, it is just, it really puts you in the place of where this is. So you had this Ravens game, it was a close game, and you've already had a couple chapters of the book that you've made in this epic, storyline, the West and the Wild Buffalo Bills. What made you go the route of Edgar? Like, I get Edgar Allan Poe, the Raven, but like, what made you take this pivot and go in this direction artistically?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool. There's a very practical, like real world reason that that impacts us all, and then there's the normal storytelling, creative choice reasons. The real world reason is because I was doing this week for week, and the episodes were getting to be big and complex, and it was a lot. It was a lot to write a short story on basically the Sunday night that the game played, and then the Monday, and trying to release it by Wednesday to stay relevant. And I was like, I need to do something short as a way to like sort of like catch up and like recover.
Breath, yeah.
I hadn't known this before this, but the Edgar Allan Poe is from Baltimore.
Oh.
The actual historic poet. The team being the Raven is based on his poem, The Raven, and thus a lot of like the character of the team. They've got like stone decorations in their stadium that make it feel a little bit like a NFL stadium version of a castle.
Yeah.
And so that was enough to be like, okay, that's definitely the genre is like a Gothic horror poem. And then listening again and reading again the actual poem of the Raven, I'm like, okay, that's the key. Like, how do you, and how fun would that be as a creative challenge to put yourself in a box of like, okay, it's got to be that rhyming scheme of X number of lines, and the last two are this, and nevermore repeats as. So fun, and also it was around October Halloween time, so it just felt like a perfect release. So kind of the real world pushed me into that way, and then the content I wanted to cover was what we just mentioned, like that feeling that at any moment the hopes and dreams that your ambitions are for yourself, if you don't have that self-confidence built up, as a human, year after year, or it's not in your core that you believe strongly, then the first time you make a mistake, you can start to second guess and spiral down. And so I kind of wanted to give that to Josh and let him be the representative of our hopes and dreams and feelings. In that clip that we just heard, he has just heard basically that, the Miami game, like as soon as we were starting to lose to them, I had my doubts.
Yeah.
And then that those doubts manifest into, like, what if it was a physical raven that's just like burrowing into your brain and just fluttering around and you can't really focus.
Yeah, I think you obviously, I mean, making it, but you hit it right on the head, like that doubt creeping in, and this was a clever visual, or I guess audio, but visual way to show that, because that self-doubt. But even in it, when Alan is like, they see me as a savior, and in actual interviews, even to this day, when you see a loss, how heavy it weighs on him. At the end of the last season, it's like you can see that he feels this city on his shoulders, and whether we want to be that or not, whether we want to say, "Look, man, it's okay," he can't help but feel that pressure. Yeah. And I think you like illustrated so perfectly in that. If he could talk to a prophet or a fortune teller, what would he ask? And I think just like Neo in the Matrix, it's like, "Am I the one? Just let me know. Am I the one?" You know what I mean? And that's what it is.
100%. Yeah. that's why this book is interesting, because like in the real world, the stakes kind of can't be higher on Josh. This is a starving fan base, and a fan base that probably deserves it, because it's not like, you know, we just showed up here and like we haven't paid our dues.
Right.
So there's all of that. There's the broader story of the city, you know, with the economic suffering, and like, you know, every city has its problems, but it just does feel like we kind of put all of our eggs in the last remaining basket is sports, and now here we are struggling, and now not only is our sports team trying to hold all the weight, but our sports team's putting all the weight on our quarterback, and he's, you know, like maybe 21 at the time, 22, and he's please be our running back, be our quarterback. You know, at times I need you to be the coach, and so he's got the stakes, and basically, I don't know, you know, the Raven just clearly says like, yeah, I don't. As far as I'm concerned, you are not the savior. If I have anything to say about it.
But we also got to point out that during this time, when we talk about MVP, like what Lamar is and what Allen are during this time is like, it was neck and neck. It was blow for blow. Yeah. So they were kind of like opposite sides of the same coin. Yeah. You know what I mean? In their ability, what they could do, how they perform. Yeah. Obviously, Allen had a little bit more, but
Lamar was getting rewarded. Like Lamar got at least one, if not two MVPs before Josh ever got any recognition, and that would be more this era.
Was this Travis's first time getting into poetry? Like, were you on your like Johnny Depp like secret window? Like, did you like hide away for those few days? Did you get into character? I don't know. Was it method for you? Or did you just say like, all right, this is what Edgar Allan Poe wrote. I'm gonna just make my version of it. Like, what was that process for you to get this?
I'm not normally a poet. I only did it in the few times, you know, high school makes you.
The soft voice would make me think otherwise. I'm telling you, you have the voice of a poet, man.
Oh, good. Or bad. I don't know. But I do. I love the exercise, and I enjoy writing in rhyme. I feel like it's so fun. So it came kind of quickly. Listened to the real Raven poem several times, and I kind of knew what I wanted to say. A mix of like making this like a very dark, romantic, Gothic world, but then those human inner struggle themes of how much the stakes are on Josh. With those high stakes, dealing with the doubt. And the other thing about overcoming in this real world, and obviously the poem that follows it, we found our way out of it. And Josh did some behavior changes that in the past, he would have just like launched forward, made some crazy passes and stuff. And this was, he didn't panic in a way. He methodically just did the easy pass, and he just sort of like did consistent drive after drive and took the short yardage, and basically became more of the mature quarterback, managing a way out of this. And so when, you know, in our fantasy world, Josh is trying to deconstruct his tower. He sees he's in this giant tower, and that if he were to jump, he would not probably make it. But the younger Josh would have gone for it anyway and just said something will happen. But this one methodically drops each brick from his own tower and stacks up a stairway, and then is able to just sort of walk out. He's still doing it all by himself, but he's not doing it rashly. He's not going out of control. So.
I like seeing the difference. Like, I didn't know what to expect. In my mind, I'm like, is Lamar going to be, like, is Allen going to face a doppelganger? You know what I mean? Or something like that, because they're so similar. Yeah. Is it going to be this big epic battle of it? Like, I didn't know what to expect. I'm thinking what, you know, and it took this turn that's like, okay, but it also calmed me down from all this, you know, epic battle before it.
And start to think like there's gonna be 17 weeks of epic battles. Yeah. So how do you start to manage so it's not just like battle fatigue of like, okay, it's a battle. I kind of get the idea. Right. So that was a big, and having done 3 in a row where I was like, that's what it was. I was like, okay, it can't just be this every time. Yeah. Like it's got to be more mind games. It's got to be, we got to change the form.
Challenged in like a positive way to step outside the comfort zone, but still make magic, man. You're still carrying through for it, you know?
Yeah, that's Ravens. Nice short one. Maybe because it's short, I think that gives us a chance to talk about the next game, too. This is a mess, thought Josh. The defenseless Mafia folk outside of the fort. The town's buildings, even the generals, were far ahead of this repressed front line. Why are we defending from our doorstep? The door! Open the door! I have to draw inside, Josh said, pulling the sling. What if the Steelers get in? Yelled the red-suited stranger.
You think about your safety.
Agreed the blue suit. I trust our guards, mumbled Josh, and both guards pushed at the gate to crack it. Josh couldn't be seen behind, Utah couldn't be seen ahead, and then it was the sparking bomb, which couldn't be seen.
That is quite the clip to open in on. The sound effects and the moment. To start, let's talk about what was happening in this game. So we got the Steelers versus Buffalo, and were they at Buffalo?
Yeah.
They were at Buffalo. Let's get into the details of the game.
Yeah. So we were in Buffalo, and one of the biggest memories I have of that time, it was in October, but we had a beautiful summer heat wave come through, which is why we find that the gangs in Allentown, everyone's relaxed and they're out on the roof, they're bathing, they're sunbathing, they're bathing, they're dancing, kind of keeping an eye on the horizon, but not so much having fun. And then this game itself was just kind of a walk in the park. The one thing is we got caught a little surprised. I think the kickoff, we muffed the kickoff. We didn't lose it, but we got it on the one. So Josh had to throw from the end zone, and then he throws a bomb to Davis.
Well, the one thing that Travis isn't mentioning yet is that the game was 38-3. 38-3. So when he says walk in the park, let me tell you, man, this is the way you want to end a summer. You know what I mean? Yeah. Going into the colder weather and all that.
Basically, my memory is just highlight play after highlight play. We had some bombs. Diggs had a great diving catch. And then one of the other interesting storylines was that one of our old cornerbacks or defensive backs, Wallace, who was a former Bill, now played for the Steelers, intercepted one of those bombs right out of Davis's hands. They both caught it at the same time. He wrestled it down. And then on the next drive, we did the same play, same pass. They both caught it at the same time again, and this time Davis
wasn't having it. He wasn't having it.
That was just such an interesting story within a story that you don't usually get. So that was cool and gets acknowledged here. But and then the Bills were sloppy. There was a lot of turnovers. So we didn't have to pay for all those turnovers, but it was a creeping thought. So.
I think you did a great job at recapping the actual game, that blowout that it was. It feeds into the legend that you're creating in this book of the gunslinger, but also of what the Bills are, and it again feeds more into why this is so epic that you caught this year in this book, because it was a real turning point.
It was a show. It was the Wild West show.
Exactly.
In that, for sure.
Since you're so good at the recaps, can you give us a recap of this chapter the best you can?
Sure. Yeah, I'll try. I think it's three main sections. One is, first section is the guys are having a good time, life is good, and these three strangers come into town who seem to be afraid of the Steeler gang, hot on their heels. So all hell breaks loose. And we don't really see the Steeler gang catch up. So we leave a pin in that. Then Josh takes a moment to wearing Poncho's new poncho. He gets a wonderful gift from that family. And talks to the generals and sees that Tomlin, this mysterious guy from the Pittsburgh Steel City, a different world, is under threat from the Chiefs, and sort of starts to lay some of the big long-term storylines of what's going on in the NFL and in their universe. And then the last chapter becomes sort of this emotional brotherly showdown of our two big characters, Diggs and Josh. And this season, like all seasons, but this one was kind of the ultimate, we're BFFs, and the cracks are starting to show and we're not sure where it's going to land. Are we going to land on BFF side? Or are we going to land on like, oh, he just threw a punch at him or something? And time will tell. Keep watching. We all were
Time
a little.
has told.
Time is definitely told now. Oh, you've heard?
Right.
Did you read ahead? No. Yeah, life is life. And it was time to start to show that life is life. And I love that we had that kind of, it wasn't all just like, yep, the team is all buddies.
Right. I have a clip.
Yeah.
If I can play a clip that is more about the good times and all that stuff. So this comes a little bit earlier in the chapter.
Super Freak. The triangle represents manifestation, enlightenment, revelation, and a higher perspective.
Mine now, shouted Kyra the Kid as he picked the knife from 4-0's hand and dropped it behind his back into cooking. Chop, 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 chop. 7 divine barbecue cutlets chopped by a New English shaving razor. Cookie forked one and threw the blade over Josh's soapy face. Utah Davis tracked it down, but Wallace, an old friend, intercepted it. He took a moment to dance it on back to Josh of Allentown from a bended knee.
So I chose this clip just because I was just talking about it with my girlfriend. Like we had 2 good days of what felt like summer this week.
Yes.
And now it's back to like 40 degrees. But during that time, she like was walking somewhere. She's walking to go see some friends, and she just texted me like, everybody's outside. I love Buffalo in the summer. And it's like that right there is exactly what that is. Yeah. If you've never been to Buffalo, or if it's been years since you've been to Buffalo summers are like some of the best you can like experience. This vibe of a warm October day is so perfectly captured in that. Like with the like everybody is out. Yeah. Everybody's in good spirits. Yeah. And whatever is going on, it's like positivity. And so for Alan to just be trying to shave, I'm just trying to get this shave on, and I just can't do it. It's like something out of a comedy, you know what I mean? Like a really great comedy, but also action, because it's not just like, oh, you wanted it? Oh, it's like, no, I'm doing this here, chopping it up. It's going that way. Like it's all this acrobatics around it. But it is just such a good feel, especially coming off of this last game.
Horror game.
Yeah, right. So the antithesis of the one, and then just that vibe. It felt like you captured a Buffalo summer, or a Buffalo, I guess, early fall in that moment.
You're so right. Those moments, I think of them, it's the first warm days, it's the first snow, like the first time we get it. Like, and then, if you get any of those cheat days late, like where it's like, we've had like 2 weeks of rain and a couple frosts, and we're like, oh, but it's 75 again?
Let's do it.
Yeah. So do you know why he's shaving?
I mean, I'm thinking it's just like off of, this rough game, coming out like needing to clean himself and all that.
It's because at that time, take you in the Wayback Machine, Josh appears for the first time in a national commercial, and it's for Gillette. Which is the New England, like Gillette Stadium is the Patriots. And so I don't know if they knew, I think they must know, but they had gone from, we are all about Tom Brady to like, oh, here's Josh, our biggest rival. And he's shaving. And I don't even know, like Josh might have thrown a little bit of shade about like, oh, they paid the bills or something. It was just so interesting and fun.
Oh, snap. So wait.
New English shaving cream is his Gillette shaving cream. And it's not the last time we're going to hear about New English shaving cream.
Yeah.
No.
There's levels to that on both. So for you to add that, but also for Alan to pull that off, that is crazy.
Yeah. So that's
every chapter seems like it has so many Easter eggs for whatever level of fandom you might be. And so if you are the hardest core fan, I would challenge you to try and find all the Easter eggs in one go through. I bet you won't do it. There'll be something that you're like, I didn't know. Wait, what? It's in depth. It's like that deep, man.
And this will kick off a multi-chapter.
Well, this leads into some more. Yeah, but before we get into that, you said you have a clip. I want to hear what clip you have.
It's a taunt, nothing more, meant only to draw us out. To Arrowhead Rock? Sure, let's go to war. Each head turned to General Bean behind his desk, and the map, and the dice, and the light shafts. Because it would be a war. Bean took a deep breath and stood up to circle the desk in shadows. It will be the war of this age, the 1800s, which determines the fate of the entire multiverse. As I hear from the telegraphs that remain, every reported raid, every show, every dignity run is leading toward a super collapse for whichever Wild Bill or war chief who survives the eventual campaign. The coming bloodshed.
Yeah, that's what you do. If you want more, you gotta listen to it, all right? So this one is a really good clip too. This is where it starts to get intense. The dice. I don't know if we can get into it now or at a different point, but like when we talk about the significance of that and what it is or what it isn't with these dice that Alan's like, what are these?
Yeah, we'll leave it a mystery.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not sure what it is.
Right. But it's deep, y'all. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
There is some rising tide in the multiverse that even the enemies of the Bills are wary of and involved in. And it's sort of setting the stage for, what we have to set the stage for, the biggest bad guys of the Bills rivalry as far as I'm concerned. Mm-hmm. The Patriots are no more, and the Chiefs are 100% the alpha to our omega. Yeah. So, as even in the story, Josh already has history with them. We learned now that McDermott has history with Chief Elder Reed. It's going to come down to Mahomes or Josh, whichever one can get lucky or have their best day when they play each other. Whoever they play next will be irrelevant. Yeah. And that's how it had been the last few years before this and how it was the years following this. Mm-hmm. That's the Super Bowl, folks. Yeah. It really is. And then the game after is like the formal victory lap for whoever won the game. Yeah. Basically. So needing to lay that here and start to anticipate what's coming next week. If we surrender to the Chiefs again, then sure, it will have been for nothing. But that's a risk of 500 hours I'm willing to take because I believe this year is history. And I hope so too, said Josh. You and my ma and pa and the Wagon Masters and the Queen of Pagoolaville. The whole Buffalo Nation. Even the Wests themselves. I mean, the Rivers and the land. You all deserve it. You do. We do. We are all overlooked and mocked in every era of the histories I found in the library. We deserve at least one notch better. So it's the big confrontation between Diggs and Allen, which is sort of brewing, I think, behind the scenes, and definitely wanted to show that. But I also put it in because it's a part of. It's one of the most like me parts too. I was like super lucky that like these characters could sort of hold on to some of the things that like I was feeling. I actually think this scene is one of the more interesting, one of my favorite scenes in the whole book because I feel like it's real and it's hitting on real things. Like I put me into Diggs's shoes and I say like he holds a lot of what I was feeling at the time, which is that I was week after week putting in like tons of hours, nonstop to like make something great and feeling like Buffalo deserves something awesome and no one's taking the bait. No one's engaging with it. Like I was getting no views and I was just like feeling so frustrated because I'm like, we're supposed to be like the ultimate fan base. And like someone who's writing a fantasy novel, like and trying really hard. I mean, I guess you don't get points for trying, but I just like, it wasn't getting picked any up. So I was like, what if that's kind of what Diggs is going through to show like he has that work ethic. He's pushing hard too. And he's pushing so hard. He's kind of missing some of the main parts of his other life. And so, gave it to him and let them hash it out a little bit. And so that's why I chose that clip. Yeah.
When you have a final product, you just see the final product. You don't think about what went into it or the details or what you don't know. Mm-hmm. But from a psychological standpoint, as a writer, you know, you're writing for multiple people, right? You're writing for a whole town of people, a whole multiverse of people, and these are well-known people. These aren't made-up characters. They're hyper, you know. They're like at a different level, a different height and level, I guess. Yeah. But these are real people, and so you have to know them well enough to give a voice to them based on what you see, or based on, you know, you might be best friends with somebody. I don't know. You and Diggs might go to party all the time. I don't know. But you got to put yourself in these shoes to tell this story, this dramatic story. And so that there's a level of artistry that has to go into it, but also psychologically to be with them at their lowest lows, and then to be at them with their highest highs. And if you in your personal life aren't feeling that, you still got to pull it out, because you were doing this week by week. You know what I mean? So like, what is, obviously in this sense, you feel like you did have a connection to Diggs, and maybe that's why it was so deep here. Do you have like a method or something you do when you're not feeling it, but you got to tell the story?
You have to find a way to make it personal somehow. As an actor, you know that. If you don't know, Cory is an excellent actor, and if you don't understand, you don't identify with what's going on, and maybe I don't as a writer identify with like Diggs wanting to get more catches or more passes and be more involved. But you find a way to translate that and make it personal. And for me, it's like he's working his ass off. He's trying so hard, and nobody is giving him the attention he wants. Okay, I can, as long as you say it in a broad scope like that, I know how to put words onto that and those feelings, and I'm feeling them. And I forget which writer said it, but like, your job as a writer is simply to sit down at your desk and to bleed on the page. And I'm like, finally, I felt like I had an opportunity where I could do that, you know, because, you know, I've never battled robots, but I have felt like I wanted attention from people I loved. And I think we all have. And so the other shift that's worth mentioning here is weeks 1 through 5, I was in real time, and then other commitments in life, a murder mystery, no doubt. we had an awesome murder mystery party event game that like we designed. So that happened in October, and I had to like put a lot of attention there. So I had to let go of the real time release, which was kind of okay because no one was engaging. I had to kind of reassess what was going to happen. And when I came back to this in November, a couple weeks had passed, and I think I had started to sort of shift in my mind to be like, this is going to be more of a long single novel that people read, not a serial pulp thing that they read every week. They're not reading it every week. Cool. So it's going to be one whole thing, which changed how I wrote. It was less about recapping and telling everyone where we are each week. Let's do some long arcs. And that I think was really fun. So that's where you start to see these deeper character things. You start to see relating. The Pittsburgh are become a catalyst for the next 4 or 5 episodes. They start to connect more like a streaming show where each episode the thing mattered, as opposed to network TV where you always end at the same place at the end of the week and it doesn't matter. So that's why you get these deeper storylines starting to emerge. And I think the writing gets a lot better, personally, because that choice happens.
My final question, the big ask of the episode. So I mentioned a little bit talking about AI. So I know that you wrote this whole book from your mind. This is all man-made and all that. AI helped with the visual, with the pictures. Yep. When using AI in that way, seeing that your mind can do so much because it came from you, do you feel that is AI having to catch up with what you already envision, and you're like, this works enough? Or are you like, I know the words that I wrote and what I want, and I'll just see what AI comes up with? But like,
100%, I feel limited by what AI can do.
Yeah.
I did not. Even when I was writing it, like I think just around this period, I was starting to get images to actually help tell the story. I was very disappointed in them, and that was kind of the struggle the whole time. Is like, I picture the airship looks like this, and it's doing this, and these are the people involved, and these are the types of flags on it, and this is the setting it's in, and it's just struggling. I didn't change any of the words. So your best vision, or you'll be most aligned with what I was intending when you're listening to the audiobook, because your brain will imagine what I was intending. And then, the pictures are like a helpful hint. Sometimes there are definitely times where it does something that's really cool and probably beyond what I could have come up with. And I'm grateful for that. But there's a lot of times where I'm like, this is getting me close. There's a picture open right now in front of you that is like of a silhouette in front of kind of a movie screen. But what I really want is like that to be the actual Miami job that he's watching, and it to be, it's a nice interpretation. But no, I like let the story tell itself, and then pictures will catch up. So that was the approach.
Yeah.
And oftentimes I had to mix a lot of AI images in order to try to get closer to the intention I wanted. So this has been super fun. This is a great episode.
This is why we doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess with that, this will conclude this episode of the official companion podcast for the Buffalo Multiverse. I'm Cory McCants.
I'm Travis Carlson.
If you want to find where you can buy the book, listen to the episodes, or watch the next episode, how can they do that, Travis?
It's all Pan Am Films is always like the best place to be. But if you're in a feed right now, the next episode should come in the same feed. But yeah, the book's available at Pan Am Films, as well as other sweet merchandise, shirts, other books and stuff. So
in that next episode, the gang is going to Chief's Kingdom,
Arrowhead Rock,
which is going to be a big deal. So if you know anything about us versus the Chiefs, tune in for that next episode because we get into it.
Yeah. All right. Go Bills, everybody.
Go Bills.